presentation. We have Dr. Ntimi Mtawa next up from Tanzania. He's a lecturer at the University of Dar es Salaam. And are universities and employers doing enough to prepare the graduates for the uncertain future? So over to you, Dr. Ntimi.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, loud and clear.
Unfortunately, my computer doesn't want to share. You know, there's this Apple business which doesn't want the compatibility part of it.
Not a problem.
Trying to share my slides. Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you for the organizers of this very fascinating space to be. And now I'm constrained. I don't know what to talk about because Titus and my colleague from Namibia have kind of exhausted almost everything. And I was like, if one could look at what Titus presented and what I prepared, one might think maybe we seated together and prepared this, but no, we didn't. I'm in Tanzania, is in Kenya. So just a coincidence. Maybe it's kind of similar thinking. So I spent good part of my academic journey in South Africa, and I returned to Tanzania after 18 years. And this is my second year at University of Dar es Salaam, and I've been trying to look at kind of do a bit of comparison of what's happening in South Africa, and also spend part of my academic journey in Norway. So those contexts for me matter so much in terms of understanding how things operate in different contexts and what does it mean to us and to them as well. So that's why I'm asking this question. Are universities doing enough? Universities and employers doing enough to prepare graduates for a certain future, which is complex, fluid, and we just don't know what will happen tomorrow. So that's what I'm asking. And I want to show you a picture of a stadium where more than 1,000 graduates gathered looking for a job, for job interview. Only 100 graduates were needed for that job. It was immigration jobs. Only 100, but more than 7,000 graduates came for that interview. You can imagine what does that mean. And that picture is very interesting. I wish I was able to show you my slides, but anyway, next time maybe we'll share this slide at a point. And for me, that's a very interesting image, which show us that increasingly we know that our institutions are producing graduates. But the question is, where do they go to? Because the private and public sector cannot absorb all of them. Where do they go to? And hello?
Okay. Keep going, sir.
Okay. Where do they go to? We don't know. And what are the future hold for them? We just don't know. And universities or hiring institutions continue to bring them in, to train them. What kind of skills do they get? Are those skills relevant for them to be able to create jobs, to be able to be employed? We don't know. And as my colleague from East Africa, Titus, said, the studies have shown that, for instance, in Tanzania, every year we have 800 to 1 million graduates coming out of university and vying for jobs in a very tight job market. And it's only 5.7%, which is about 40,000 who gets jobs, formal jobs, which is a very small percentage of that. So the question is, where does the 4.3 goes to? So that's a question. And as Titus said, a study which conducted by East Africa Inter-University Council of East Africa found that 61% of graduates are ill-prepared for workplaces. So it means they don't have skills needed or even experience needed for that. So where do they go to? So that's why I'm asking, are universities and employers doing enough? So I try to characterize this uncertain time or future which is very much driven by technology, emerging technology. And since morning we will talk about generative AI and its impact moving forward. We know some jobs are going to be lost, but also many are going to be created. But for who? That's a question. Who is going to be able to get those jobs, which are going to be created in the near future? But jobs are going to be concentrated in the digital economy. We all know that. So proficiency in new technology, creativity, emotional intelligence, critical thinking are going to be the currents for those new jobs which are going to be created. So we know that we have to increase innovation, increase productivity, effectiveness in decision making, but also using data. Those are issues that are going to be very much important. Yes, I will share the slides. But also in a fiercely contested or competitive job market, and that's where we're going to be the terrain which our graduates are going to operate in. But we know universities and employers have the critical role to play in that uncertain future, in terms of collaborating, in fostering both soft and hard skills needed in today and tomorrow's complex work environment. We know they need to create an empowering environment for lifelong learning and thought leaders. Also facilitate adaptive learning, which is going to be very critical. Adaptive learning, we've been talking about upskilling, upgrading. It requires adaptive learning, but also cultivating applicable and relevant skills, but shaping values, which are very critical in workplaces. I remember one of the presenter in the morning spoke candidly about, you can have hard skills, but you also need soft skills, which are also critical at the workplace in today and tomorrow's labor market. Now, in Tanzanian context, my paper says experiences from Tanzania. In Tanzania context, we recently moved into what they call competence-based education, and partly is because of to try to enhance our graduate competitiveness, but also address the escalating graduate unemployment. The question is, are universities doing enough, and employers to do, even if you introduce this competence base, what are our institutions doing to do that, to prepare our graduates beyond just saying you have a competence? What is competence? And for me, arguably, the answer is no. Simple answer is no, because one, there's limited university industry collaboration space. Universities are very much impermeable. In the other way, they don't allow industry to come in and bring their own their input. Also part of training. Industries are not very much involved. Industry are very much involved in curriculum development, to just consultation, more like we consulted the industry or the stakeholder, but how about the practical aspect of implementing what has been consulted on? But also limited practical training opportunities, internship, work integrated learning, experiential learning. Those spaces are very limited. In fact, we don't value those spaces for some very weird reasons. But there's too much emphasis on grade point average, the GPA, at the expense of cultivating desirable character and competencies. And that's the ICoTE syndrome, the GPA, grade point average, is a syndrome. But also, employers, as I said, they are only consulted during curriculum development or review process, not in the implementation. So there's a misconception about this partnership. But also there's a dominance of silo way of preparing graduates, coupled with the ivory tower attendance, which Titus spoke about it. The universities think that they know it all. Another issue is the dominance of what to think and not how to think in training our graduates. We are trained to them about what to think, not how to think, which is needed. The how to think is critical. And you can tell when you ask, let's say in a test or exam, the moment you give our students the question of how and why, you have failed them completely. They want the what. So we are not training our graduates to think. We are training them how to think, what to think. But also colonized form of education is still killing our graduates. We are very much colonized in the way we train our graduates. We haven't moved away from that colonial legacy of training. So what are the implications of that? we know this alarming graduate unemployment, the growing skills mismatch. Our graduates continue to be less competitive. So the mobility becomes very difficult for them. Employers are spending massive amount of money to train new employees. And it's a complaint which is coming from the employers. But also graduates are resorting into what I call unskilled or semi-skilled jobs, such as Uber, the border economy. If you come to East Africa, the border economy, the motorcycle economy is very strong, and you find graduates doing that. So that's a job. That's the only way they are trying to survive and make a living. So this is partly of some systemic and structural issues of limited investment in labor-intensive industries, politicization of education, especially higher education, and the complex layers of bureaucracy and managerialism in our institutions. Rich did touch on that. But also the existential policy practice disjuncture is always a problem where you have policy, very good policy, but in terms of practice, there's the missing link. But also limited investment in research innovation and also practical training. Currently, for instance, in Tanzania, we only invest 0.52% of the GDP on research and innovation, which is a small amount of money of investment. So recently, one of the private sector did a study where they did a survey on digital and future skills survey in Tanzania. Interestingly, 70% of graduates say they never trained on some of the skills needed, like the communication, the problem solving, the analytical skills, the digital literacy, for 70%. And we're talking about future of the job is going to be dominated by technology. So where are we heading to? So what should be done? First of all, I think we need to redefine what are universities for.
Yes.
In my view. Number two, we need to redefine the kind of training we need for today and tomorrow's market.
I'm just going to cut you in here.
Yes.
You've got your last 30 seconds to wrap up. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm actually wrapping up. We need to conduct what I would call an audit on skills gap. Also invest more on industry university partnership and make it more a core business. We need to treat internship, work integrated learning, and experiential learning not as an add-on, but as a core activities. Also, we need to install the 4 C's: the communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity among our students. So our curriculum, our programs need to be reformed to look at more futuristic thinking. But also we need to reform our methodologies and our content. In the end, we need to embrace research industry engagement, research on industry university engagement. Industry 4.0 is important to look at it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ntimi. Now, that was wonderful. And certainly, I think, you've made important points that we need to take home from this year. And that just highlights the fact that there's a lot of work ahead of us, in this space to transform it. And I think we need all hands on deck. And yes, certainly utilizing the technologies we have to create the collaborations and the engagements. So, to rapidly get us to that point. So thank you again, much appreciated. That was Dr.